Hello guys, my name is Khan. Actually, in this video, we will discuss few things that how we can use range names in a different way. So in my previous video, I have created a macro. So first I will show if I go to my developer tab and if I go to my Visual Basic, you can see that I have created this macro before. Actually, what this macro was doing, and actually you can say it, I have written down this under module one. Under module one, I have created two macros. One was to compute, and then other was to delete whatever I have computed. So before going into detail, because I have already discussed this macro before, so what this macro was doing, that if I click this button, it will compute the policy value. So what is the policy value is that I have 20 funds for each policy number. They're about, it's a bit large data set. I have about 100,000 rows, and then for each policy number I have a unit of funds, about 20 units of fund, as you can see it here. So, and each fund value is price is given on the other sheet. So this macro was doing is that multiply the fund one value with the price of from the other sheet, and then sum it with the fund two value into the price, and in the end give me the aggregate total, that how much this policy value worth. But for that macro, what I have done is that I have given some range names already. So if I select row 2 till U2, and then if I go down, you can see here in this box I have given this range a name as policy unit table, and then in my macro I was calling that range by the name. You can also call it by the name or by the range to I suppose A2 to whatever the row ending row is. But in order to call this range name, first I have to give, so suppose I have to give the name to the range first by going into the sheet, selecting the cells that I like to give, and then you have to write down the name here. Suppose I have already written down that it's policy unit table. So this is one way, and in the same way, if I select C3 till C22, you can see I have given that range named as unit price. But this is a bit way in which you have to first give name and then start writing a macro. But in this video, what I will show you guys, that how you can give a name to the range within with the help of macro or within this developer functionality. So in order to do that, before starting how to do it, that instead of giving name through the sheet, why not if I how can you give us some specific names to the range with the help of macros? Let's do it first. So before starting it, what I will do, I will go to formula tab, and if you come to the name managers allow you to see how many range names you have given in your sheet. If I click it, you can see that I have given three range names. One is policy unit table, the other is policy values. So let's see if I delete. So if I want to edit it, I can edit this, and I also can delete it. So suppose if I delete this one, and okay, and I also delete the unit prices or maybe policy values. So I delete it. So if I okay, so I will close it. So I haven't deleted this range, so hopefully I will be still able to see. So you can say unit prices range are still there. But if I go to my develop, so now if you see, I have selected the data, and if I select all this, I am not getting any range name here. In the same way, if I select the whole this thing, I haven't actually I have deleted the name, so I'm not getting any name here too. So now we'll show you how you can use your macro to give names to your ranges. One of the benefit of giving names to the ranges is that it becomes easier for you to write the code, especially if you have to use that ranges several times. So it will help you to give a meaningful name to the range, and you can easily call that name again and again in your code. Now let's go to VBA. So now, because I have deleted those ranges, I have deleted a policy unit table, so I can't use this name in my here in my macro. So in order to do that, what I will be doing is that I will go to, so here you can see that I have given sheet names. One is unit prices and policy data. If I double click here, so another thing to note here is whenever you open your sheet, whenever you come to your developer tab, so VBA application, this page, you will see that there is one workbook. Then each sheet have its own icon, and then you can also insert module. So I already have a module. So in module, you can write your own macro. And in order to insert another module, you can go here and can say insert a new module. For me, it's fine. But why there are 3 other sheets? So suppose if I double click it here, you can see that you can go to this workbook. So this workbook, if you want to make a macro which you want to say apply to the whole workbook. So suppose if you want to write a macro which says that before saving the file, make sure that user haven't changed any formula. So you can write the code here, and once anyone will try to change, save the file, it can, I'm just giving an example, you can do several things. So the workbook allows you to write a macro which applies on the whole workbooks, like saving the workbook. And in the same way, you can write macros specific to the given sheet to make sure that if something is happening within the sheet, that macro applied to that sheet. So now suppose what I will do, I will go to policy data, and now I will write a macro which will allow me to select the range, and then I will use that range in my module 1. So before starting, what I will be saying is that option explicit, as I mentioned before, that allows you to, whatever variable that you will use, you must have to define it first, otherwise you will get an error. Then I will say public property, because I will be creating a property for this sheet, and this property is actually will be allow us to select the range. And then get, and then whatever name you want to give. So suppose if I want to give it a name of unit price, if I want to give it name as a policy unit table. And then I will say equal to, you can say range or me.range. Then and then I will give the range here. So suppose the range for policy unit table is, if I go from my first row, is starting from A2, and then let me check where it's ending. So U, and then I will say go down. It's ending at U101. So I say U100. So I will write 100. Make sure that you write the right range. So I will check it again from my sheet. Here, this is the number 001. Yes. So now I have given this range, and then what I will do, so I will use this thing, but this thing will come first. I will specify the variable type of this property, and I will say as range. Now I will state it here. Again, I will say set this thing. I will copy it, paste it here. Now I will say assign the value, which will be me.range. And then I will be again giving the range name, which will be A2 to U1. So now this range is given a name which is policy unit table. And now if I want to use this property in my module 1, as it's a public property, so I can use it. So in my module 1, so in order to use it, I will go to here. And now as I have already deleted this thing, so I can't use this range name in this way. I will use it in some other way. So I will show you how. So I will copy and I will come here, paste it here. But the property that I have created is in this sheet, WS policy data. So I will say WS policy data and then dot, and then I will call my property name, which is policy. You can see that property is now appearing here too. And now suppose if I go back to my sheet and if I run that macro, which is here, so first clear, just let me check why there is an error occurring. Actually the error occurred because I have created another function which allows me to clear all the ranges which are the policy values. The policy values range was this thing, and if you remember, I also have deleted this policy value range name, so that's why the error is occurring. So now if I just click this thing, this macro, it will say it's computed the value. So suppose if I manually delete it, you can see that the macro is running fine, but this time in my macro I am using I have created a public property in this sheet with the sheet name is WS policy data, and then I have given this property, which is actually this property is actually selecting the range of cells within this sheet, and then assigning that range cells to this array or this range, which is policy data. So this is one way. So now in the same way, for policy values, I can also create a new property. So in order to do that, I will go back again to the WS policy data. And now I can start writing my second property, which is, I will suppose, write, I can simply copy paste it and change few things. So instead of policy unit table, this time I will name it as policy values. You can name it whatever you want, and this time I will say set policy value is equal to, and I will give a specific range. This time the range is W2 to, so here I will say W2 and then here W. And now this is my policy value. This is the new property within this sheet named as policy values. which actually this property is assigning the range to this property named as policy values. And again, if I go to module 1, and now I will be not using this thing, I will be using property values. So you can change it here and it will automatically allow you to delete it. So I think in order to do it, what I will be doing here, instead of using this thing, I will be saying this thing, copy it, paste it here, and then instead of policy unit table, I will be saying policy values. Make sure that you have written down the name properly. So if I compute it, so you can see my policy values got deleted here. If I say compute it, okay, now there is here, but if I want to delete these values, I can click here, and you can see the values got deleted. So here I have shown you that how you can create public properties for a given sheet, and how you can, with the help of public property, you can give a name to a range, and then you can call that property within your macro without giving any range name, firstly going into the sheet and then using it. So this thing allows you to document everything, because this is a more right way, because if a user is evaluating your code, he can see it in a written way, that what you have done, which ranges you have given some names, or which ranges you have given assigned to some property. So actually the good thing about this thing is that this thing allows the end user a more complete picture that what's going on. In the same way, if I go to my WS unit prices, before going to WS unit prices, I will copy this part again, and copy it, and now I will go to WS unit prices and I will paste it. So while creating your property, it's not required that you have to give a range in this name. You can also give a range name here too. So in order to do that, if I go to my sheet, if I go to unit prices, you can see that this range, which is starting from C3 till C22, is given as the name unit prices. So I can write down unit prices simply here, and I can say unit prices, copy unit prices here, but without underscore. Again here, underscore. Make sure whenever you create your variables or your public properties, make sure that you don't try to ignore using underscore, because underscore sometimes VBA thinks as an event, and it make your code more it makes your code to run to take more time while running. So make it a bit habit to not use underscore. So now I have created this public property named as unit prices, but this time I have created this property within WS unit prices sheet. Now I will go to module 1, and here I am using a unit prices range. So here I can use it another way. So what I will do, instead of assigning the range to this prices array, so what I will do, I will come here, use it like WS unit prices, then dot unit prices. This is the property that I have created, and now you can use it here too. But in this example, I have shown that you can also assign the range in public property by using the range name too. So now if I go back to my sheet, which is this, if I clear it, and now if I run it, you can see everything works fine. So In the end, in this video, I have shown you that how you can, instead of using range names, you can create public properties within each sheet, and then you can call those public properties within your macros, and those public properties allow you to document that what are the ranges that you have given some names. And I think overall, as a coder, it will be a more appropriate way to assign range name and using them into macros. Thank you for watching the video.